So, what we're going to do today, obviously we're still in Chapter 2, Hardware and Software Working Together. We're all going to do OSs. Put that away because you're going to use a real machine today. No, I'm just kidding. You can leave it out. We're each going to install Windows and Ubuntu side by side. Hold on. No, Windows and Linux side by side. I went out of my own comfort zone. I'm not doing Ubuntu this time because I always do Ubuntu. And I went to the distro watcher, which I went to with you guys the other day, to show you the most popular versions of Linux. And Ubuntu isn't the most popular, so I'm going to try something I haven't tried before. Again, that's Distro Watch, and it is just a web page that monitors from, and it only monitors from their links, just so you know. So it's saying if you went to Distro Watch and followed a link to download, then the most popular one is Linux, then Debian, then Ubuntu, and on down the list, the top 100 are there. So I figured if the most popular one is Mint by almost double of Ubuntu, then I thought we'd try Linux Mint today. Okay, so we're going to do that one. So yeah, I've never installed it at all. I've just made this for everybody. That's all I've done on Linux. So we're going to do that today as we do Windows as well. I want to go back to a couple things. This is going to be your activity next week. We're going to all be writing an essay, and we're going to do better than the last essay on the comparison of Linux versus Windows. And one of the things that's going to be part of that is you're going to take home one of the machines today, the Linux machine. Okay? And in Mr. Plankenhorn's case, it's probably going to be his laptop for a little while. I have spare batteries too, so you're going to take that laptop and a spare battery. And if you want to leave your laptop here, I will put it away and lock it up. You don't have to carry around two laptops. Okay? So that's up to you. But you're going to write a paper on comparing your experience with Windows versus what you think about Linux. And there's actually there's some videos and articles you're going to read as part of that in class next week. Today we're just going to start with this though. And I want to start right away because it takes a while. So everybody has two power supplies. They're to plug in right in front of you and plug into the two laptops. These are all identical laptops to give you a comparison of the install time for both the two operating systems that we're going to look at today. Realizing that these are not as fast as the ones we issue you. So the Windows one are going to seem slower than the ones we normally issue you. And it's not a solid state drive. These are conventional drives, which for all intents and purposes we'll say are at least 5 times slower than the solid state drives that you guys are used to. Okay? So what I'd like everybody to do as we do this, plug in both the powers, don't turn them on, and I want everybody to make the right laptop their Linux laptop and the left laptop their Windows laptop. Okay, and I'm going to just go around and set the CDs on each of your desks in front of them. And there's a reason for that. I made sure the one on the right had the better battery as far as I could tell. That way if you take it home, you've got a better battery. So like Mr. Plankenhorn, I gave you one with an extended battery since that is probably going to be the primary device for the. Was it in your laptop in your bag that got stolen?
Yeah, it was.
Any windows broken with this, or was this all?
Yeah, window. I was parked in the parking lot.
Okay, I did something wrong. Somebody got two Windows discs.
Yeah, I was in the parking lot and I was up at the driving range, and then I get back out to my match and my window's broken and Brighton's window's broken and both of our bags.
What are you doing? Everybody's got two plugs right here, right in front of them. Plug into your two plugs, and then get your laptop plugged in. Okay. Now, these are all low wattage plugs too, and I don't know whether they will slow down these laptops because some. Well, come on, can't you get the other one? I'll get you a plug. Want me to get the other one? To get that one plugged in. I'll get you a cord. I wonder. Does that go with this?
All this stuff was my back.
Yeah, it does.
I took my backpack and the broken the range. Broken the right into the car.
What I was going to say is some laptops slow down for low wattage power supplies, and I don't know if this is one of them. So it may or may not. So you can go ahead and turn it on, all of them on, and go immediately to BIOS. So turn it on, hit F2 to get into BIOS on all of them. while it's on BIOS, you can open up the CD drive and put in the CD for both of them. We're doing them both at the same time, so as soon as you get one into BIOS, open the other one and get the other one into BIOS. This BIOS, one of the reasons I wanted to do this one, this BIOS is a little different than the BIOS that we used before. Not horrifically so, but it is, so I wanted to use something else. Plus, I knew these didn't have BIOS passwords on them, so you missed it. You missed it huge. So just hold down the power button, turn it off. So when you're doing this, as soon as you turn on, wait until you see the Dell screen, and as soon as you see the Dell screen, you should be not too fast. If you do it too fast, then it'll ignore the keyboard. It'll just think that the keyboard is bad. Once you've got them all into BIOS, hey, go ahead and put in your CDs while they're in BIOS, because the power has to be on for these to get the CD open anyway.
You want us to put like both CDs in?
Yeah, put them both. We're going to do it side by side at the exact same time, so you get an idea of speed as well. So the first thing you want to do in your BIOS is check the boot order and set the boot order to make sure it may already be set that way. So you go down to where it says boot sequence on this one and see if the CD is ahead of the hard drive. And there's just numbers next to them. So as long as the CD is above the hard drive, it should boot to the CD. Okay? That's really the first thing we're going to check, because the last thing we want to do is try to install it and have it not work. Okay? I am not installing Windows while we're doing this. I've installed Windows 1,000 times. There's no reason to install Windows.
How do I
So-
change it?
Okay,
This
so
one
if it's
is-
wrong, you go right arrow. Okay, I'll let you do it. Go ahead and go right arrow over, and it's not letting you.
Mine's like grayed out.
It does have a password. Let's see if I can. Hopefully, I know the password. I don't know whether I do or not. Let's see.
Oh no, you gotta press enter on it. And then,
No, his actually had a password. Okay, it's
Oh.
unlocked.
cause
So there we go. So when we go over, all you have to do is, if you read the thing, it says use U or D to move a device up or down. So you just go down to your CD and just go hit U.
Yeah,
Mine's
add
also
a-
locked. There we go.
add a password.
You got a password on yours?
So-
Check both of them so that if I'm unlocking.
Is there any like certain order they should be in, or just as long as the CD is above?
As long as CD's first, but really, I can't put it on my screen, but really I'd like it to be just CD hard drive.
Okay, good.
The network boot should be on there. Let's see, is there an easy way to unlock, or do I have to go down to security unlock? I think I have to go down to security. Okay, well yours is already set right anyways, why am I unlocking yours?
Both in that one.
But it doesn't matter if they're set right, yours are both set right. I don't need to unlock it if it's set right.
This one's set right. I know where that one.
Okay, this one is not.
This one's not.
Okay, so you can reset it. Has everybody got theirs in the right order now?
Yeah.
Now, on these, you don't hit cancel to leave. Okay, it says hit enter when done making modifications.
Always got a button other than you.
What?
Always got a button other than you. Doesn't move these up and down.
Read the screen. What's it
Oh,
say?
okay, gotcha.
Not trying to be facetious, but I don't know every single one. I have to read the screen too, right? Some of them say hit plus minus. Some of them say UD. Some of them say enter and drag. Some of them say use the page up, page down key. Every one of them is different. So it's not like I can say you always hit this to make this happen. Okay, so when you're done, it says press escape. Well, when you're in that screen, if you changed it, first you have to hit enter when you're done modifying to get out of it. So the highlighted thing should be back over on the left side when you're done. It should be green over there, and then it says hit escape to leave. And it should say either remain in setup or exit. You're going to exit, and you have to watch your screen, because if you're doing the one, or either one of them, it's going to ask you if you want to go ahead and do an install. So we're only watching one at a time now. Watch why you got to be the only one on Windows? Everybody's on that Linux machine.
Wow. Well,
That's
mine's
okay.
like,
Whichever one you're on it, watch the screen because it says it's gonna hit any key. Hit a key. Hit a key.
On that boot, like.
Okay. Well, I'm talking. Okay. So if it says hit any key to enter setup, you got to hit a key. Okay. Did it say that? I couldn't read it from here because I'm not there yet.
I'm not sure.
Okay. It's like I wouldn't even read it. When I said watch your screen, I actually meant the screen in front of you, not the screen up here. Okay. All it's saying. Okay. It didn't say anything other than that. So if you're at the Linux Mint screen, just stop there, leave it there, go to the other one and start the Windows one. You missed the Windows.
The Linux Mint, like the boot screen.
Yes, if you're at the Mint screen, leave that one alone. You hit down arrow. Oh, you missed it. Okay, so you have to hit something or it's going to boot. You guys aren't watching your screens. Okay, so if you don't hit the down arrow, it's just going to start booting, and we don't want it to start booting. So now I have to restart it again.
So like turn the computer off.
Yeah, and restart it. You got to at least arrow at it because what it does is pausing for you to give you a chance to choose something. If you don't choose anything, it's just going to keep booting and you missed it again, or did you get it this time? Okay. So on the Windows one, it's going to say hit some key to. Go ahead and start yours. It's going to say hit some key to boot from CD, and you have to hit a key. I usually just use the space bar. Otherwise, Windows just says, this was an accident, you didn't really need to boot for me, okay? And that's why it gives you that chance, because people sometimes leave their CD in after they've done an install, and last thing they want to do is reinstall after they've done an install. So if yours, have you already done that?
I haven't got to the Windows.
Okay. Did you get it?
I think so.
We'll see in a second whether we come to Windows Setup or not. Are you guys on Windows Setup on the other screens? Like I said, I don't know whether yours counts or not, Ian. We'll see. I don't know if the arrow key counts with Windows or not. Is it? Yeah. Well,
I got this like.
it's going from the CD. So.
I got this.
Okay, that's good. Down arrow.
Down.
Yeah, just down arrow so it knows you're on the menu screen.
Okay.
So you have to restart yours.
And then leave it there.
No, not you. You have to go ahead and turn it off and let's get
And
going.
then just leave it there. Or
Just down arrow so it knows you're interacting with the screen. If you just leave it, then it's just going to go on, just like Windows does. It gives you a second, actually pretty long, gives you about 10 seconds on Mint, to do something. Go ahead and restart it, but all I want you to do is down arrow so that it knows you're there doing something, okay? And then we're all going to do it together. Windows is already starting, so Linux is a little bit behind right now. Is everybody at that screen yet? Okay, so yeah, we're all at the screen. So we've got some options with Linux before we even get going. Windows gave us none, right? It's just doing its thing. So I've got the option to start Mint, start in compatibility mode, OEM install. That's not us. OEM is a manufacturer. We can check our memory and we can boot from the hard drive. So we're going to go ahead and start Linux Mint. And yeah, I know you're going to say that's what it was just doing, but I wanted to look at the menu first. So go ahead and hit start Linux Mint and hit enter. Now, Windows and Linux are doing two different things. Windows is just starting the install. And it's going to give you some choices here in a little bit, whether what drive you want to use and that kind of stuff. Linux usually boots into what's called a CDOS. So it's going to look like you're in Linux Mint. And then it's going to give you the option to install. It's going to usually be one of the buttons on the desktop. I don't know because I haven't done this one before, how exactly the Linux Mint install is going to go. I'm actually surprised Windows is still just sitting here. I'm almost wondering if it is slowed down for these low-end power supplies or not. Because I would have thought we would have at least gotten a screen yet.
I'm moved on.
Did yours move on? Okay, and we're gonna try not to answer anything. We're gonna answer them as we go so that we're doing all the screens together. And like I said, this would be faster if we were doing it on solid states. But honestly, the last time I did Linux on solid states, I could never get them back to work right with Windows, and I don't want to mess up 5 solid state drives for nothing today. And then I didn't want to go ahead and do Windows on solid states and have you have a bad comparison. So I wanted them to be exactly the same. so has everybody got the Windows screen up? Let's just look at Windows while Linux is doing its thing. And I'm just going to look at Ian. So it says language, English, United States. Why does it say United States next to English?
Mine still has those squares. It still hasn't loaded yet.
Come on, Mr. Blankenhorn.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because there's lots of other places that do English, and the English language is different in the UK than it is here, which is why it says that. And it comes up that the time is US and the keyboard's US, so we're just going to leave those set just the way they are. We'll wait for Mr. Plankenhorn before we hit next.
I got the service
So everybody can hit next because those are just the default settings, and we're fine. You hit next without me. Okay?
Talking about it, but I thought you were
So
telling me
go ahead and
so.
hit next, Ian. And then our only options were the language, because now the button is just install. So go ahead and hit install now. Do not go past the next screen, okay? Because it's going to give us another screen. So go ahead and hit install now. Now what it's doing right now is really nothing, because it hasn't even given us an option of the hard drive. Because that's the one thing that it's going to ask us is, what do you want me to do with the hard drive that you've got in there right now? And we have to tell it what we want it to do with the hard drive. We're actually going to reset the hard drive. It looks like Linux is coming up for some of you guys. Okay, let's go back to Windows. Does everybody have that up? Okay, you have to agree to the license terms, so you have to check mark the box in the bottom left-hand corner, and then you have to hit next. Okay, so we're doing a custom install, which is the bottom one. The only way you can upgrade Windows 10 is if you're upgrading from a Windows, the right version of Windows. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So the next screen that we see is the disk partition. So everybody probably has the same size drive. I really didn't look. You have a solid state yours. How do you have a solid state yours?
drive it up pushing one.
I know because of the size. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have, so some of you guys have a bunch of partitions. No matter what I want you to do is delete them. So whatever partition it's on, hit the X delete. If you've got more than one, like Mr. Plankenhorn does, go to each of them and delete each of them. It's going to say, are you sure everything will be destroyed?
I can't delete this.
Okay, you can't delete the other one. That's good. Just say yes. We don't care if it contains important files. We're wiping anyways, and you need to remind me to get that solid state. So now that they're deleted, now there's just one partition, and delete yours.
Pardon me, teachers, for the interruption. The
It
following
should say
students meet in the high school
there's
office.
one partition that says unallocated. So everybody should say drive whatever unallocated. And so now you can just hit next. Because what it's going to do, it's going to reallocate and reformat that partition and turn it into one big drive. And then you're done. Okay, now Windows is just going to go on its own. Now we can move back to Linux Mint. Linux is pretty easy. I could play with this just the way it is. You could take the Linux Mint CD and just use Linux Mint right now off the CD. It's obviously going to be slower off the CD. You can't save anything if you're running off the CD. There are schools that just have disks in their labs and they run everything off the CD because no matter what you do, all you have to do is restart the PC and it's back to the CD. It's kind of slow, but it's a way to bring old equipment up. So we're going to go ahead and click Install Linux Mint, the little disk on your desktop. I could have made a virtual machine and done it on a virtual machine, and then I could have recorded it. That's what I should have done. Have to remember that next year. Okay, so it comes up and asks you what language you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, I want English, and hit continue. And if I go too fast, let's try to stay together, but tell me if I'm going too fast. So, do you want to install third-party software for graphics, Wi-Fi, and always say yes on this. Okay. Basically, what it's saying is, if you've got, for instance, an Intel Wi-Fi card, which you may, and the driver is only made from Intel, is it okay if they go and put the Intel driver? Yes. Okay. So I always check that, and I'm going to hit continue again.
still stuck at the English screen because it froze.
Are you still stuck there?
No, I just got back to it. What do you want us to do on the next screen? Just check mark it and continue or not?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I've got some options with the hard drive this time. And it will let us to put Linux, in the case of mine, Windows 7 is obviously on this hard drive. I'm going to erase and install, so I want option number 2, erase disk and install Linux Mint. But realize that if you had a Windows 10 system, or really any kind of system at home, you could go and install it side by side, and then when you start your computer, you could boot to either one of the operating systems, okay? We don't want to do that. So I'm just going to do that check mark, and I'm not going to do anything else, okay?
That's
So
my first option, like the erase disk and install Linux.
okay, because it doesn't see Windows 7 on your hard drive. So if Windows wasn't always already on your hard drive, you don't have that option. So we're going to use the erase disk and install Linux Mint and click install now.
I'll catch up soon.
How are you behind us?
It just keeps taking forever to load. It just got there again.
It is possible that there are bad hard drives in the mix. I have a couple spares over here. If we end up having one that's really bad, obviously the one I'm using, one of you guys can take if you need to. Okay, so it asks, do you want to write these changes to disk? I definitely do, so I'm going to say continue. Just kind of verifying before you go and wipe your hard drive. Are you sure you really want to wipe your hard drive? And then it's going to ask, where are you? It's setting the time zone, is what where are you does. Anybody have an idea where Windows automatically sets the time zone without asking you?
California?
California, why?
They're in California.
Because they're in California, so everybody must be in California. Why doesn't it ask you? I don't know, it used to. It used to be one of the things Windows asks. So I'm going to leave it on New York. Why does it choose New York in Linux?
Probably
Yeah,
that's where
right.
Linux is.
Greatest amount of population. They said, well, if you're in the United States, you have the highest percentage of being in this time zone because this is where the most population is. That makes sense, right? So more than 25% of the people in the United States are going to be in that time zone, so why not make that the default? Keyboard, same thing we had on Microsoft. Do what kind of keyboard? We just hit continue because the default is the right one. Apparently if you're Cherokee, you have a special keyboard. Not Cherokee. Okay, so the next one it comes up to is important. Okay? Because if you do this wrong, you won't get into it again without wiping the whole system. Okay? So what I want everybody to do is I want you to use, where it says your name, I want you to type your name, because you're going to be using it anyway. So I want you to type your name, your full name, where it automatically creates a computer name. Whatever it creates is fine. But where it says your username and password, I want you to use your National Trail username and password, so that there's no chance you'll forget it. Every year I try to give students something to put in there, and every year
It has to start with like a lowercase letter. So
it won't let you put the number in.
if I put 17, it says must start with the lowercase letters.
Okay, so just put
Take the number out.
take the number out and use the rest of your username. So.
But then same password as our.
Yeah, and use your regular password, and that's just so I can look it up if we have a problem with it and you drop it off. I don't want to have to guess what you made your password as. Just gonna make mine Blazer. Okay, before you hit continue, you have a couple options. You want to log in automatically or require a password. I say log in automatically. You're the only one who's going to be using it anyway. If you say require a password, then it's just going to let you put in your username and password. If you were doing it in another setting and you wanted to have security, and you could change that later. So I'm going to click log in automatically and hit continue. It told me my password is really weak. Because I just use Blazer. I'll forget it. I always do. Every time I put one in. Right? That's why I had you guys put yours in. I'm going to write Blazer up here so I maybe remember what it was later. Okay, so that account that you just made, and it should be starting to install. You can go. Did you already hit continue?
Yeah.
Is everybody starting? Did anybody else see this screen right now? Starting to install Linux.
Mine's just copying files.
Okay. Right, that's what it's doing. Ooh, did I just open my? Thought I opened it up. Okay. In Linux, I should put that down there so that I got. Man, this one till we start. Okay, so I should say in Windows, we'll talk about Windows first. In Windows, you have a super user called administrator. Okay, and this account may or may not be turned on the system, but that's the one that if there's a problem with your computer, you have to repair something, usually you log in as administrator to be able to do that, okay? In Linux, you have one this is all lowercase. By the way, Linux is case sensitive on everything. Everything case is important, okay? But their super user is called root, okay? Right now, that account you just made is the only account that has access to become root, because Linux does a little bit different. You aren't the root user, you just have the ability to become the root user, and that's one of the reasons Linux is far more secure. When you make an account on your home PC that's an administrator on Windows, you can do everything that the administrator account can do, okay? So if you just installed Windows, which we're doing right now, you're going to make an account and log into Windows, and that account is going to be an administrator. And that account has the ability to totally mess up your computer, okay? So when people have administrative privileges, they have the ability to install software, they have the ability to install malware and viruses and everything bad, along with everything that they intend to get on, okay? And Windows really 7 and 8 and 9, or 8.1 and 10 started doing what's called user account control, where in some cases when you try to do something, in some cases, not in every case, it'll pop up and say, you need to be an administrator to do this. Are you sure you want to continue? And you hit continue. But it doesn't do it for most things. It only does it for stupid things. Like you try to add a printer automatically and it says, you need to be an administrator to add a printer. But it'll let you install malware all you want to in Windows, okay? In Linux, every time you try to make a change to the computer that could harm the computer, and I say every time, I'm sure there's sometimes it does it, but it's going to ask for the root username and password, which right now is the username and password you just made. But you're not logged in as root, you just have the ability to become root. Okay, so it's a little bit different. That's one of the reasons that Linux is more secure, and you can't get as many viruses and stuff on Linux. In fact, I've never, knock on wood, never had any virus problems with any of our Linux machines ever, okay? So that's just a little bit different. Case is important on everything in Linux. You can't even go to a folder if you don't put the upper and lower case right. It says, nope, that's not where you meant to go, so I'm not letting you go, okay? So Linux has a couple different things, and you guys are going to write a paper on why Linux is, you're going to read some stuff on why Windows 10 is bad. Obviously, I like Windows 10, or we wouldn't have upgraded to it, so when I have you read that article on why Linux 10 is bad, realize that I think there's more good than bad, and that's why we went to it, okay? There is some intrusive stuff on Windows 10 that, it tracks the website you go to try to get better ads for you. And who wants that anyways, right? I don't want ads on my computer, but Windows 10 does that by default. Do I care about that here? No, because you should only be going to educational places anyway. Do I have Windows 10 at home? Yes, I have Windows 10 at home. And that's really because if you've got a Microsoft platform, it's really hard to get off of the Microsoft platform. One of the things I want you guys to take note of as you guys use the Linux laptops, which, by the way, is already done, isn't it? Okay, we're finished with Linux. No, I got a little bit more. Never mind. I'm not finished. I thought it was done. When I install Linux, and they're both DVDs that we got in. We got a Windows DVD and we got a Linux DVD. And when I'm done with Linux, I have installed on this system everything Linux thinks we need, or the guys who made Mint think we need on a computer. Okay, we've got desktop apps. It's not Word, it's not PowerPoint, it's not Excel, but it's like Word and it's like PowerPoint and like Excel. And actually, it's kind of the opposite. LibreOffice had all kinds of cool stuff, and in my opinion, Microsoft copied it because I saw those things already on Linux before they came to Microsoft. Okay, one of the things you can do in the Office environment in Linux is you can change it to save it in Microsoft format. So it doesn't have to be a LibreOffice document. You can make it a Microsoft Office document. It knows how to save both ways. And that software is free to download, so if you guys decide, hey, I like this version, and you don't have Office at home, you can download it and install it on your PC at home. They have PC versions of the Office that you're going to see on the Linux program. The other thing is, Linux is going to have most of the software that you want to run, whereas Windows, what are we going to have when we're done? We're going to have Paint, we're going to have Notepad, we're going to have Media Player, we're going to have Calculator. And we're going to have the ability to get to apps that they've added now that we didn't have the ability to get to before, but we're not going to have a full word editor. We're going to have their Edge browser, which, by the way, you don't have on yours. Do you guys know why you don't have Edge on your Windows 10? Because it's not good enough for them to put it on the enterprise version, and we use the enterprise version. This is the professional version. I wanted you guys to install the same version you would install at home, not our enterprise version. But it wasn't good enough or finished enough for them to put it on enterprise, and I wasn't going to add it if Microsoft is like, well, Edge kind of works, but we'll give it to you consumer that pay $300 for Windows, but we're not going to make the enterprise people use it. Okay. And that goes along with anybody know how much Word is? If I was to go out and buy the full copies of Office 2016, $399. In fact, Mr. Boggs just sent me an email yesterday. He's like, hey, do we get any kind of a discount on Office if we want to use it? And I said, well, if free is a discount, then yes, because our agreement is any staff member can take a CD home and install it. It's part of our license.
Isn't there only like 6 programs though? Like Word, Office?
Yeah, there's, for $399, it's like, well, you get Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Access, OneNote, Outlook, Publisher.
Office.
Well, that is all Office. So I got 6 because I couldn't use my thumb, but maybe something else I'm not thinking of. Okay, mine just finished, and it says, do you want to continue testing or restart now? I want to restart now because I want to run the full version. Except for, there we go, now my mouse is working. It will run better off the hard drive than it did off the CD, believe me. And it's probably at some point when you hit restart now, I'm going to tell you to take out the CD. And it's almost done at exactly the same time Windows is close to being done. It's about the same speed of the install. What Ian's is asking him is, do you want to connect to a network? Yes, we obviously do. Choose NTLS Secure 5G. And then put in the password Trailblazer, all lowercase.
Do you want to use Express settings?
Yes. So yeah, go ahead and use Express settings.
Is yours on this number?
How far are you behind? Installing system.
Everything's zipping out Windows.
What? Use Express settings. And now Windows is going to finish doing its install. It's still not done. Who's not finished with Linux? Okay, so only 2 of us are. Only me and Brendan are right now. It's going to pop open your CD on its own. You don't need that anymore. So I will take the CDs once you're done with the Mint CD. And maybe I'll keep them long enough to not have to make a whole bunch and stay up till midnight. By the way, who stayed up watching the game? Oh my gosh.
I stayed up till like halftime.
You didn't stay for the final 4 seconds of the
I
game?
saw what happened.
Oh, man.
That was
Well,
crazy.
you know the goalpost got narrower this year, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the things. And their timeout right as he's kicking it, which he makes the kick,
Really?
right? So,
Try to freeze
yeah, exactly. So they call timeout right as he's kicking. He kicks, gets it right through the goalpost, but the guy's calling a timeout, so it didn't count. So there's 4 seconds left in the end, and he was a little bit to the right when he made it, though. It's like if this is the goalpost, it went through about right there. So what they think is that he tried to adjust it and get in the middle, and then he went out on the second attempt over here, so they lost in the last 4 seconds of the game. It was a good call doing the timeout.
Yeah. That's just crazy how like the 2 teams in the Super Bowl are that close again.
Yeah.
To win.
No, it was a good game. I was really impressed with the Broncos quarterback. I did not know he was going to be.
Yeah.
Am I talking in there? We're waiting for time anyway, right? So I didn't know they were going to play him. I really liked him, but he looks like your
He
age.
looks good.
I look at him and I'm like, he looks like Peyton Manning when Peyton was like 16. He really looks young. I don't know. Obviously, he graduated from Northwestern. Did you see the one stat? How many Northwestern quarterbacks have thrown a touchdown pass in the pros? There's only one. There's one quarterback, and I didn't know his name. Threw 88, and then one person had thrown one, and he had thrown one. So apparently, Northwestern quarterbacks don't go to the pros very often. Is what I got from that.
Yeah.
And so I'm up to Linux. You're almost up to Windows. You're still not done with Linux.
My Linux went to a black screen.
Same.
Like
What?
it finished the install screen and then it went to this like black screen.
Oh, it's just shutting down. It'll pop open and then tell you to take out the disk. Just be patient with that one. Mine did the same thing. Okay. I'm guessing that the ones that are slower are probably worse hard drives. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but because I intentionally used a low-end power supply too, this one should be a 65 watt as well, just to see if it slowed it down. It doesn't even say on here. Where's the watch? There's a lot of symbols in here, but not the one I'm looking for.
Mr. Cool.
Yeah.
It's asking if I wanted to set it up as this.
Right, we're gonna wait there for everybody else to catch up. Has yours come off the black screen? And, no?
Okay.
Neither one of you guys has.
Says continue testing or restart now.
What? Yeah, restart now, and that's where they're at, waiting for the next screen to finish. It should just pop open here, hopefully soon. Honestly, it looks like it just turned off.
I can still hear it.
Can you? Okay. Oh, hey, his went to sleep.
Okay.
His literally went to sleep. I just hit the power button because he didn't hit the restart now soon enough, so the screen went to sleep. So that's what yours was. Yours was just waiting for that. And now the hard drive will pop open on its own. Did yours do the same thing, or did you already hit restart?
Yeah.
Yeah, your guys has just sat there long enough that it just got tired of waiting.
And then I'm at the Windows screen.
We're waiting for one more Windows screen to get there, I think. I think his is the only one. Oh, no. Ian's is restarting. I need to make a new sheet. Take Sharon off and put Cody on, don't I? Or I could just write Cody's name next to Sharon's picture and leave it just like that. That work too.
I can edit. You can give Brandon maybe they'll just draw me on there.
Nah, I think you look better that way.
Or I could let my tech kids make a sign like that one for
Yeah,
me.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that was.
That was too much time on their hands and
Give access to that.
picking on Brighton.
Where?
Okay, but like I was saying, one of the advantages of Linux is that number one, it works on far lower specs. The amount of memory you need to run Linux is 512 meg. Okay, these all have 2 to 4 gig in them, so they have more memory than Linux needs. most people's home computers probably at least have a gig, even if they're really, really old. And I bring that up because if you have a computer at home that's collecting dust somewhere, and you're like, I'd like to have a PC in my room, but we can't afford another PC. If you take that dust collector and put Linux on it, you may find out you're perfectly happy with that computer. Okay? Because Linux really does restore old equipment really, really well. You could take, well, it's 1 gigahertz, so you could take one that even probably had Windows 98 on it and put Linux on it.
So there's a chance with this one will make it.
Yeah, there's a very good chance. And by the way, if you guys ask, if you're like, I've got an old PC, but I don't have a hard drive, I'll let you guys take an old hard drive. I mean, not old. They're not that old, but replacement hard drive. Is everybody at the Windows screen yet where it says who owns this PC? Okay, so I wanted you to say I own it. Oh, yeah, no, hold on, don't say that. I take it back. It's probably too late for somebody who clicked on that already. Because if you do that, then it makes you set up a Microsoft account. Yeah, I know. So say my school or work owns it. Say my school or work owns it. Did anybody go too far and do it? Okay, yeah. That's the. At home, you would want to say the other answer, because obviously you're not part of a work network at home. But here, I don't want you to have to make a Microsoft account. You can say skip it, but it's kind of weird. Okay. So choose how you connect. Join as your Active Directory or join an Active Directory domain. That's what you're going to do. So click the second one down there, and I will have to join the domain with you. I think I haven't tried to do this one this way. Now you can go ahead and set up your account though, and your password. Use your credentials again. I don't think we actually have to join it. So I think you'll be able to just log in with your credentials on this. Man, I'm gonna be waiting for you. Hit enter. Everybody's up to Linux Mint on one, and on the other one you just put in your username, password, and hit enter, and it's going to restart for the last time, I think, with Windows. What?
You have to put a password in.
Just put school.
Yeah, there you go. You can put a space in there, you just have to put something in there.
After my pen on my other, get off my computer. Because I know my password.
Well, it's quick features to get inside of it.
The other reason to use this version of Windows, then you get the App Store and stuff, whereas you don't get all those apps and stuff automatically with the enterprise version.
You get Cortana.
Linux, we use
What?
Sarah. No, I mean, it says
Yeah, it says
Sarah.
Linux.
Sarah
It says
instead of Cortana. I prefer
You
Cortana.
know your password. Come on, man. Hit next.
Okay.
Okay, so now really the comparison here is, you guys know what you get when we give you Windows, but the thing is, what do you get when you just have Windows? Windows 10 is better than previous version because of the App Store and because it lets you go and get stuff. That same feature has been available on Linux for years. Okay, so to install programs and stuff with Linux, there's an App Store. You can search everything. Very few things are paid, most things are free, and they just download and install on their own. So instead of when I go to Windows and I say, hey, I want Adobe Reader, and I go and search it, and I end up getting someplace I don't want to go, and I end up getting a virus that I didn't ask for, which happens all the time with users in Windows. It can't happen with Linux because you just install everything through the store, and the store is controlled by them. They don't show you stuff in the store that hasn't been vetted. So if we go down to, so here's our little welcome screen. I'm going to go ahead and close the welcome screen. Everybody sit down at their Linux machine. We'll kind of, man, I wish there was some way I can project. But if we're all in the same place, if you go down to where it says menu at the bottom, that's the same as our Windows Start button. It comes up and it's got a bunch of stuff, and under each one of the categories, if I go under accessories and then graphics, and I go down, you see the programs on the right hand side of that. kind of populate as you do it to show you what it's already got. What I want to show you, because I want you guys to add whatever you want to it, is, oh, you know what? What we haven't done is we haven't connected to the internet yet. If I go down on the bottom right-hand side, there's a little person, and next to the little person, there's a little, it looks like two plugs that aren't connected, which is what it is, okay? If you click on that, it shows the Wi-Fi. Go ahead and go up to NTLS Secure, and then put in the password. Because we're not going to be able to do the rest of the stuff I wanted to show you without connecting to Wi-Fi. Connection established, yay! Firefox is the default web browser with this version of Linux. Some of them have Chromium, which is a version of Chrome. None of them have Chrome. They have Chromium. But where I wanted to show you is to go to the administration one. So when you go up to menu, it shows administration, and then you can go to Software Manager. And it's immediately going to pop up and ask you for a password. That's your password that you just put in. This is where you can find all kinds of software. Okay, so go Administration, Software Manager. Okay, and it's going to pop up right away for a password. That's your password, and that's where I was saying that you emulate root. You're not an administrator, you're somebody who has the ability to become the administrator. So every time you do stuff that could change it, it asks you then. It doesn't ask you for it if you want to change, add a printer. Actually, I don't know about Mint since I haven't tried it. So if you look there now, it has all these categories. So if you were looking for something in graphics, for instance, you click on that, and then it all of a sudden shows you all these programs. In fact, how many does it show? Oh my gosh. The line's pretty long on how many programs there are for graphics. And if I, for instance, wanted to add the top one, which has the most amount of reviews, GIMP, which you guys have on your computers, all you have to do is, oh wait, it's already installed. That's why there's a check mark next to it, sorry. Let me go to the next one down. Inkscape is not installed, there's no green check mark. If I double click on it, it's like iOS, it just says, or your Android phone, it just says, do you want to install it? And I click install, and that's it. It's going to download, install, add it to your computer. Almost never requires a restart. Whereas with Windows, there's tons of times you install something, got to restart to use it. Install something, got to restart to use it. Our Moodle machine can run for years without ever restarting. Try to do that with Microsoft Windows. Just like this morning, I had to restart the print server because it stopped working. Okay. Microsoft is not as, I don't want to say reliable, but I am, not as reliable as Linux is. So if you have Linux on your home PC, you don't normally have to worry about it just froze on me. I have to go to, if this freezes on you, the only reason this is going to freeze on you is because the hard drive's bad. Because I don't know how old these hard drives are, and we just use what was in there and what we got from the Air Force, okay? So, except for the one that Brandon's got over there, which somehow still has a solid state. Obviously that must have been issued to his staff member at some time and we forgot to pull the job out. So that's how you add it. What I want you guys to do the rest of the period, you guys are going to keep these laptops, is to play with Linux. You guys know how you can get to your H drives? Does everybody know how to do that? I get emails all the time from students saying, I can't open my H drive at home. You just go to mobile.nationaltrail.us. So if I'm on any browser, anywhere, phone, whatever, I can go to mobile.nationaltrail.us, and it's going to have a pop-up for your school username and your school password. You might want to shortcut that. Hold on 1 second, I'm coming. So that you can get to it easily, because I want you guys to use these as your primary machine until our next class when you write the paper. And if you don't use them, you're not going to have anything to write. Yes? Well, yeah, it's Trailblazer, and it's all lowercase. So when you said can't get it, you mean she can't get on the Wi-Fi. Okay, yes, and make sure she's using the secure. 5G is the best one, is the fastest. So if she uses ATLS Secure 5G, that's the best one if her laptop gets it. And this is just Trailblazer all lowercase. Okay, you're welcome. That was not worthy of interrupting.
So what do you want us to do with it?
Okay, so the Windows machine, we still have 30 minutes in class. I do want you to look, you guys know, you guys have all used Windows. You guys all use Windows 10. The only thing I really want you to see on Windows 10 is when you pay that money, what you get. So just for 2 minutes, take a look at Windows 10 and what's installed on there, so you can see really how little you get for your OS dollars. If I was to go out and buy Windows 10 right now, at Amazon, how much does Windows 10 cost? Let's see, Windows 10 Pro USB. This is if you bought the flash drive version. So $194.99. That's just for the OS, and this is what you get for just the OS. Okay, and remember, the only purpose of the operating system is to use your hardware to run other stuff, right? I mean, it's just the GUI, the graphical user interface, that lets you interact with that hardware so you can open up Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Firefox browser, or whatever you're trying to add. So what do you get for that $195? Let's see, if let's say they don't even give you the option. This one doesn't even give you anything other than the Pro flash drive. I wonder, I have to imagine they still have it available on CD. And how would you do a PC download? I guess you have to have a working PC. Now the home version is less. You save $80 on the home version. Okay, just so you know that there's some reasons to get Pro versus Home. There are some additional security features in Pro. You have to have Pro in order to connect to a network. Home will let you share things in a network, but it doesn't let you become part of the network. So if you bought Windows 10 Home version and brought it in here to school, you would never be able to join the network and see all the printers and see your H drive. Can't do that. You have to have the Pro version in order to do that. And unfortunately, other tech coordinators and places that have bought stuff for us with grant money, they'll go and get chintzy and buy Home, and then I can't use it. Case in point, anybody in Mrs. Kennel's ag class? Okay, they bought a HP Sprout. Awesome. Does a 3D model of anything. You can put anything under that HP Sprout camera, and it will scan it and make a 3D model of this so you can print it out on the 3D printer. Except for the fact they bought it with Home version, so you can't connect it to our network. So you can't scan it and save it to your H drive, and then go to the other one and print it out because it's not connected to the printer because they got the Home version and we can't connect to the printer. So there's some downsides of Home. But if you're only going to use it at home, that's fine. Save the $80. But if you're going to bring it into a school, you want the Pro version. So just so you know. So what do you get for that $195? This is what you get. Windows 10 is the best one so far as not just being empty. It's still kind of empty. Still don't have any office productivity stuff. But at least you have the App Store to go and get some of that stuff if you want to add it. Yeah, you can connect it up to your Xbox One account. I don't know why. Why would you do that? I don't know. I mean, we have an Xbox One. We don't have it connected. Why would you connect it? Is there something? Because you have to buy the PC game, so it's not like you're going to use your Xbox One game account on your PC, are you? Not sure I've understood that. That's why it has the big Xbox Home button. I don't know. So that's just so you can see, if you don't know, like Ian's not a PC person, he's a Mac person. If you go under all apps, how many things do you see under all apps that are useful to you? And then play with Linux. Okay? You guys feel free to add anything you want to. You can look at the free games, install the free games. One of the reasons I wanted you guys to have bigger hard drives is I wanted you to see what it's like to have it. I don't care if you install a game. Don't get in trouble in another class playing a game. Okay? But for the rest of this class, I don't even care if you do that. I just want you to play with the Linux system. I want you to use it through next Wednesday because you're going to write a paper on. The title of the paper is Why Linux is Better. You don't have to say Linux is better. But you're going to read a bunch of articles on why Linux is better for a lot of things. Maybe not for playing Skyrim. you're a Skyrim player, and I can't install Skyrim on Linux. But if you're a normal home PC user that's just getting on the internet and just writing papers, that free version of Linux. Now Dell doesn't pay $194 for this. They probably pay $20 for this. But they do add on $100 for putting Windows on it. So, you know, if you could go and buy a cheap laptop, which you can, if you went on Amazon right now, or on eBay right now, say that you are looking for a laptop. I'm not looking for RAM. And you got one, like we tried to sell ours with nothing on them. Let's see. I don't want any operating system, but I want a nice i5 because I want fast one. So I could get this HP Pro dual core i5 for $218, and then put Linux on it, and that machine would be awesome. That would be a really good one for $219 if you go and install Linux on it. Versus if you go and have to spend $200 for Office, $200 for the OS, and then another $300 for Office versus free. Yes.
I looked at that.
And you've restarted your computer.
Really?
That's what I'm.
Okay. Well, then use the other one if you're having
I'm
problems
like
with
a
the
school
one.
laptop now. I don't really.
So internet.
Because I just printed ones this stapler.
No,
Oh my god. What like
Which
what
one are you
category is gonna be? I know, but like what kind? Like where? Is it on the list?
Hold on one second. I'm gonna stop recording right now because I want to stop talking so you guys can